we also wanted to build a tool that, the best tools disappear when you're using them and you forget you're using them. And that's really what we wanted. We wanted a video conferencing platform that you almost forget you're using a video conferencing platform and you're only focused on your student, or as a student, you're only focused on your teacher, and that we're allowing that human connection to come through.
You're listening to the Integrated Music Teaching Podcast from Top Music. Tune in weekly as we interview music teachers and experts from around the world to explore creative activities and ideas that build learning connections in students. Our integrated music teaching approach will deepen your students' understanding of musical concepts, engage them in critical thinking, improve their reading and performance, foster their curiosity, and prepare them for a lifetime of music making. Hi there, teachers, and welcome back to the Integrated Music Teaching Podcast. It's great to be hanging out with you for another episode, and I hope you're enjoying the content so far. We are right in the middle this month in June, talking about our Presto and Top Music certification frameworks, and I'm very, very excited about the buzz that's happening around those two really important areas that we've been wanting to talk about and release for some time now. Today's episode is a little bit of a break from that, actually, because we wanted to slot in some information about a new platform for listing your music teaching studio with the founders of Forte Lessons. And you'll know Forte Lessons as they've been sponsors and supporters of our podcast for a number of months, both this year and in previous years. So I wanted to invite the two founders, Hunter and Mark, on the show to actually unpack a little bit about the state of where they see online music teaching at the moment and its future, and also to talk about some of the opportunities that their software, Forte Lessons, provides for teachers, because it's, some of you may know it as a fantastic alternative to Zoom that's actually free and designed for music teachers. But they are also developing a great way, as I mentioned, for listing your music teaching work to be found by lots of students around the world. And they'll talk later on about how they're actually building both sides of that marketplace. It's really interesting. Our weekly freebie for this week is one of my all-time highest downloaded freebies. It's the top 10 pop songs for piano students. If you are a piano teacher and you're listening to this, and you haven't downloaded my top 10 pop songs, then go and grab it. It's completely free and it's over at topmusic.co/. Nice, easy one to remember. And what that does is lists the top 10 songs that you can use in your studio when students want to learn something about pop music. This is particularly handy for any adult students because we've got some Beatles in there. We've got some older kind of tunes that they will know, Mad World, and also some newer things, but it's just a great all-round mix of how to go about teaching some of those pop songs. So there's a page per song, and I include lyrics, chord charts, and even the first 4 bars or so of notation, so it can get you started with how to actually teach it. And there's some notes that go along with each of those songs. So go grab that. It's topmusic.co/pop. As I say, one of the most popular downloads. If you haven't got it already, that is where to find it. My guests today are Hunter and Mark from Forte Lessons. So firstly, Hunter McGranahan started Forte with the dream of empowering more people to become musical. He graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in film. Hunter then accepted a position in the motion picture department at Creative Artists Agency, where he helped build their virtual reality initiative before ultimately leaving to work for tech startup Magic Leap. And now on to Forte. Mark Murtagh, the other guest for today, is a long-time advisor to some of the world's top music institutions, including the Royal College of Music, Juilliard, Berklee, and the Grammys. He has led the development of music education programs that have reached over 200,000 students across North America, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. He's worked with the world's top educational and cultural institutions, developing and executing strategies to leverage their brand equity and intellectual property. Welcome to the show, Hunter and Mark. Great to see you guys again.
Great to see you as well.
Thanks for having us.
Well, firstly, thanks for being a supporter of the podcast for the last month or so. We really appreciate that sponsorship, and looking forward to diving into the world of hybrid teaching, online teaching, and what Forte has been up to as well. So how would you guys describe Forte Music to the teachers listening, just in case people have missed some of the sponsor messages or they're new to the podcast?
I would say that Forte is a purpose-built platform to allow teachers to do their best teaching online. And unlike general purpose video conferencing platforms like Zoom, which are great for business meetings, Forte takes into account specifically what music teachers need when they're really trying to, create that magic between them and the student that's going to allow the student to progress. And the main way we achieve that is through much, much better audio than you get on other platforms. We have proprietary audio technology that really allows people to hear the nuance of the instruments, hear the nuance of the instrument resonating around the room. It allows music students to hear their teacher while they're playing. Zoom mutes the microphone of anyone who's not talking. And so, it's really only running audio one way at a time. We run our high definition audio full time, both ways all the time. So teachers no longer have to wave their hands to get a student to stop playing. They can be coaching the student while the student is playing, and a bunch of other things that we've done to the audio that make it a much more natural and much more effective experience for both the teacher and the student. But what we also are is a place where students can come and find great teachers. And so students can come to our website and search for, we're just rolling this out now, and we've launched with violin, but we're going to add other instruments very, very quickly here in the coming weeks. Students can come to our platform, tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll help them find a teacher who's a good fit for their skill level, their goals, and what kind of music they like. And we've got a great pool of teachers available for students in that regard. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything you need. You can find your teacher, and then you can take the lessons online. And we hope to be able to expand those offerings over time so that we really are everything you need as you're beginning to learn an instrument and as you continue through learning the instrument.
All right, there's a fair bit to unpack there. Let's just talk about the new service, because I remember you talking about this when we first met a year or so ago. Great to know that it's launched now. Congratulations. So it's not just a listing site, it's a matching service. Am I right? It's a bit like a dating platform for music students and teachers.
Yeah, we get a little more detail. We ask you more questions than the dating apps ask you, but yeah, you can think about it like that.
So you're asking them about how long they've learned for, what do they want to do with their learning? Am I on the right track here?
A lot of the sites where you can go to find a music teacher online, they don't ask you anything about yourself. You just say you want a piano lesson. They immediately push you into this very Craigslist-like experience where you're just scrolling through pages of thumbnail headshots. And the teacher might be, $25 an hour, $125 an hour, $75 an hour. And you just have no idea, is this a good teacher? Does this teacher want to teach someone like me? Like not all teachers want to teach adult learners. Not all teachers want to teach younger learners. Not all teachers want to teach beginners. Some only want to teach kids students who are, very passionate and accomplished and heading for a career as professional musicians. All of that has a pretty powerful effect on the efficacy of the learning that happens once you put the student and the teacher together. And that was something that I saw over and over again in the work that I was doing before Hunter and I co-founded Forte, working with some of the world's top conservatories. It's interesting, when you apply to university, in every other topic, you basically apply to the university to attend that university. When you apply to a conservatory, very often what you're doing is you're applying to study under a particular person. Musicians will always say, I went to this or that conservatory and I studied under. And that's obviously at the highest level of the music world, that sort of rarefied air of conservatories, but it filters all the way down. Learning to play an instrument, is kind of, you feel exposed. You're developing your own creative voice. It can be a somewhat intimate experience, and that finding that teacher that you really click with and who clicks with you can make all the difference.
So how does the matching work? Is this manual at the moment? Like, people are actually looking through the checkboxes that a student has submitted and then going through the listing of teachers and connecting them? Or is it automated, or what happens?
We've built a proprietary algorithm using the responses from both. We don't just ask the potential students or their parents what they want. We also ask the teachers their preference of student that they like to teach. So we know before the teacher goes live on Forte whether they like to typically teach younger students or older students, or students who like certain genres, or students who have certain levels of aspiration, so that we can let the algorithm provide teachers that are the right fit for that student based on their preferences. So it's not randomized, and we're not looking at two different lists of teachers versus students and parents. Yeah, that's the whole idea.
And the result for the student is a recommendation of a top 2 or 3? Because I assume, one person might be overbooked or unavailable or something. How does that work?
Right now, you get 5 recommended that have the highest matching score. And you can click through to 5 more. We make it known that the first 5 are the highest recommended, that we think are the most right for you. And I think that's it for right now, Mark. It's at 10. Again, we just launched this thing.
Yeah. No,
down the road,
fewer is better in some ways. Because we
go back and forth. And that's something that I want to make known. Like, this whole shift from the way finding a music teacher used to be to how they are found now, with this paradigm shift from in-person to online. I mean, it's early. No one's cracked the code, right? So we're, as you know, with talking to Hillary and other teachers, we take tons of feedback. And so right now we think 5 is right up front, and maybe 5 more. Down the road, we might add an option to see a lot more, or we might cut it down to 3 only. It's just going to be based on how we're trying to figure out the right recipe to make the right match.
Well, I might just jump in there and let Hillary have a word here, because she was actually talking to me. So Hillary Travers is an Australian teacher colleague here in Australia, and she is one of your ambassadors or representatives from this side of the world, which is very cool. And I was talking to her the other day, and one of the things that she brought up was just how responsive and supportive you guys were. So let's hear from her now quickly.
Hi, I'm Hillary. I'd like to talk to you about Forte Lessons just for a couple of minutes. I've been using Forte Lessons for about 3 years to teach online. I exclusively teach online now, and I have been teaching online for about 8 years. Forte Lessons is the best platform I have come across for teaching online lessons. First of all, the features that are available are spectacular and are continuing to be developed. Hunter and Mark and the team are very interested in what teachers want and are continuing to develop the platform to provide the facilities that teachers want. They're very interested to know what we want, and I'm happy to talk about it, and will incorporate as many of the features that we want as they possibly can. They are so great at troubleshooting. If you have any questions about anything, they respond very quickly, and their help desk is spectacular as well. So I've found them very, very helpful. One of the great things about Forte Lessons is the sound quality. The way I can hear my students, the way they can hear me, it's as good as any other platform that I've used, if not better, because it is actually designed for managing sound, not just speaking. And if both the student and the teacher are cabled in, it's even better. I'm cabled in. Some of my students aren't, and it's not quite as good, but it's as good as any other platform that I've used. And the sound quality is so important when you're teaching online. So I find that an incredibly great feature. And on top of this, using Forte Lessons to teach is free and will continue to be so. They are subsidised by large music groups and will continue to keep the facilities free. That is their goal. There are lots of facilities already available in the platform, including the ability to connect to 2 different cameras at once, as well as using an iPhone through a QR code. There's a whiteboard facility. You can write notes to your students. We can record the lessons. There are scheduling and payment processes available. And they are continuing to add features as requested by teachers. I've been part of the teacher focus group that they run. I've been kind of the only Australian on that group, but I don't go every time because it's in the middle of the night, so it's a bit tricky. But they are very interested and listen to what people want and what people are doing and try to develop the app to suit what we want. And they're really great at that. Forte Connect is coming, which is a new part of the program where we can connect to students, new students. So students who are looking for teachers can find us on Forte. If we connect with a student and become their teacher, there is a fee. But other than that, the platform continues to be free to use. And it's continued to grow. They're continuing to develop it. It's a really fantastic platform for teaching online, very easy to use. They do have one thing that some people find of a concern, which is that they say that they may record the lessons for child safety purposes. This is something that different people have different opinions about whether it should or shouldn't be done by the company that runs the platform. Most platforms do it anyway. It's just that Forte is upfront about it. And if you have any concerns, you can speak to Hunter and Mark and the team, and they're very happy to talk through it with you to make sure that you're comfortable. So if you haven't given Forte a go, I would. It actually is the best platform that I've found for teaching online. Give it a try.
Okay, and so for the teaching side, are you guys going to be, because you said, we want to find quality teachers, are you going to be vetting them somehow eventually or initially? How's that working? And can the teachers listening now, if they're violin teachers, join the service?
So yes, anyone can come to Forte and create their own virtual Forte studio to do their teaching online, and they can create a public profile. And they'll see that the public profile that we created tends to have a little bit more information than you see on other sites. And you have a little more space to give your bio and talk about yourself as a person and your teaching style. And then there is a manual process for reviewing those profiles, and because we want to make sure that teachers are putting their best foot forward and putting up great photos that really allows their personalities to shine through, all of that great stuff. But anyone can come to the website and create the virtual studio and their public profile, and then they're available on the website. If they're a good match, they'll be part of the 10 that we show students. Over time, and I should mention, you can ask your current students to write reviews for you. So we have teacher reviews on the site, both star reviews and written reviews. Over time, we'll let our students sort of guide us in terms of who the best teachers are and who is the right teacher for the right kind of student. We'll always be looking at usage patterns and data to understand what creates a good match.
Best match. Yeah. So the algorithm can learn and improve. That's the goal, I assume.
Yeah. And the proxy for that will be the length of time that a teacher and a student work together over time. We've got great student retention statistics now on the website, which is terrific. But we'll continue to look at that. And if a teacher has a track record of bringing in a new student and continuing to work with that student over a long period of time, that's a pretty good sign that other students ought to be able to benefit from his or her expertise.
Yep, makes sense. So more to dive into on that one, but I also want to go back to the first part of what you said that Forte is, which is a video streaming platform or video conferencing platform. And obviously there is a lot of options out there at the moment. And you've mentioned the high fidelity two-way audio, but that's also available in other platforms. And I realize yours is proprietary, so there's always going to be differences. But is there any other aspects, particularly in regard to, because what I understand of what you guys are putting together is that it's really teacher and music focused. So there's aspects of what you offer that are really suited to the teaching environment specifically, whereas Zoom is not, for example. So I just wondered, are there other key differences just on the streaming platform side of things that you guys offer that perhaps isn't available elsewhere?
We can dig into the tech specs, really. We have the, I'm sure are you a piano teacher? I see the piano behind you. that sometimes students want to see your hand placement and finger placement, positioning that you can't show them with moving around your MacBook. So we've added the dual camera angles feature where you launch QR code on Forte and you point your phone at it and it launches the self-facing camera from your phone automatically. So you can just place it on the side of your piano, or, guitar teachers use it a lot to do close-ups of their finger placement. You could stick it on.
You don't need to go through a mini-cam kind of system or anything?
No, you just launch it from the QR code.
That's clever.
Unique. There's a bunch of little tricks like that we've been, it's been 3 years since we've been building this thing. So we've taken a ton of feedback. I think what you won't see in the UI of the video calling software is kind of the underlying DNA. That's what is, I would say, most proprietary about our tool. It's not any specific feature. It's the fact that we, since, what was that Curtis program, Mark? February 2021, have been testing this thing with some of the most demanding ears in the world. The most from, it's not as much my world as there's Mark's, but it's, really intense music teachers being very hard on us from the very beginning, telling us that they hear the sustained piano note dropping right at 7.5 seconds and we can't hear that. And we would tell our engineers, like, you got to fix it there. And it was just a lot of middlemaning engineers and really incredible music teachers for over a year before we released it to the public, and now in total over 2 years. And working with, and this is all Mark's world, working with teachers from the Royal College of Music and an in-house staff member who went to Juilliard and is, all in the product every day with me. It's that DNA that allowed us to be such perfectionists about it and get it to where it is today.
I would add a couple of things to that. One is, Hunter is right. We really wanted to bake into the DNA of the platform the educational and artistic excellence of some of these conservatory partners we've been working with who helped us build this. But we also wanted to build a tool that, the best tools disappear when you're using them and you forget you're using them. And that's really what we wanted. We wanted a video conferencing platform that you almost forget you're using a video conferencing platform and you're only focused on your student, or as a student, you're only focused on your teacher, and that we're allowing that human connection to come through. And audio has a big part of that, but also just making sure we just have a very clean, simple, uncluttered user interface that kind of disappears. Fighting with the engineers like, no, you may not add another button to the toolbar. Too many bells and whistles is a distraction from what the most important thing is in the lesson, which is the connection between the teacher and the student. And so I think we got that right. And when we released Forte into the world, it really did spread like wildfire. We have no idea how teachers from 98 countries found out about Forte. It wasn't marketing. We weren't spending. We don't have marketing dollars to spend on that. But we have users in 98 countries right now. And even after that happened, after it was out there in the world and people were using it and we're seeing how many teachers were recommending it to their friends, we knew we couldn't rest on our laurels. And the constant feedback loop from our users is something that we take very seriously, because the only way Forte is going to be great is if we continue to get great feedback from great teachers.
You've mentioned wanting to simplify the UI, the user interface. Are there still opportunities for teachers to access any tools that are specific to music teaching? I don't know whether that's file sharing, online notes, taking, anything like that. Or is it truly a system that is just laser focused, I should say, on the audio and video?
No, we've taken things we've decided not to implement so far. I would say the whiteboard feature, the metronome feature, the in-app or in-lesson tuner. But
they haven't been done, or
we've decided not to build those yet. Those are things we think aren't totally critical to the experience we're trying to build right now. We will down the road when we have more time, more engineers. But there are things that we think are super critical to that experience, which, like you mentioned, note taking. When they were all in person, you used to bring a physical notebook, and I would forget mine. But
And the
Teachers
kids
would have
wouldn't
their
read it.
totally. And but if you could have, kind of an online document that you could update in real time and in between the lessons, like you would never have to remember it again. So think of it like a Google Doc. It's called the shared notebook feature. Every time a teacher and a student are connected on Forte, they have a dedicated shared document between them that they can, write on. In the lesson, you can see who's typing in it, whether it's the teacher or the student or the parent, and you can go to it in between lessons and, share feedback on practice or homework. But that was an important feature to build. There's persistent chat.
On that, Hunter, that can be, you can click a button and that will come up on the screen and then you can type in as a teacher. Is that right?
It'll launch a new tab. It won't be in the video calling experience. It's too clunky like that. So it'll launch a separate tab on Chrome or Safari, whatever you're on.
Okay.
I think an important early learning for us when we were spending so much time getting feedback from teachers was that music teachers have their own tools and everyone likes their own set of tools that they found. A lot of them are online. So, like online tuners and whatnot. And so what we didn't want to do was impose on teachers, you must use this notation software when you're using Forte. You must use this or that tool. Instead, we focused on making sure that our platform can accommodate all of the tools you're already using. So there's no need to start over and get up that learning curve again. If you like a particular notation software, share that screen in the Forte experience, and your student will see it, and you can interact that way. Over time, I think we will add more tools, like Hunter said, but the goal is always to make sure that teachers are 100% in control of their experience, and we're not putting a lot of bells and whistles between them and the student.
Mm-hmm. Or not mandating that there's an inbuilt sort of feature. You can continue teaching in the same way that you were with the tools that you had.
Yeah, we're not trying to tell you how to teach. We're not trying to force you to teach a certain way or change how you teach because you know how to teach better than we do. Like Mark and I are not music teachers. So we're trying to empower you to do what you've been doing, just, as well as you can.
I'd like to take a little side path now and talk more generally about online music teaching, because there's, we've had a whole upheaval, obviously, in the last 2 to 3 years. The WHO chief has just declared the end of COVID-19. And I know that for many music teachers, they've learned a lot from this period. Some have revolutionized and gone all online. Many are happy to have their students back in their studio, and some are doing a bit of that hybrid kind of thing. So how would you describe the state of online instrumental teaching in 2023? Is it sort of popular, fading out? Is it becoming harder to distinguish? Is it better, worse, likely to be with us forever? What do you reckon?
I think it's here to stay. And the pandemic forced everyone online and forced people to figure it out. There was, even before COVID, there was always an issue with music education and instrument instruction. There was always the issue of access, that not every student lives near the right teacher for them. And, if you live in a cultural capital somewhere in the world, you're fortunate, because it's very likely that you will be able to have a choice of a number of teachers who are a good fit for you and can help accelerate your learning on your instrument. But not everyone is so lucky. It's a classic case of talent is randomly distributed, but opportunity isn't. And so the original idea for Forte was to take geography out of the equation and allow students to find a teacher who's a good fit for them. And we've, and we've really seen that in a lot of ways. And we haven't been at it that long, but we have so many stories about, the violin teacher in Singapore who was finally able to reconnect with her favorite student in Nairobi. The piano teacher in rural North Dakota, who was getting on in the years and didn't want to live alone in North Dakota anymore. She wanted to go live with her kids and grandkids in Las Vegas, but she didn't want to leave behind her piano students. But now she had 50 of them. When she moved to Las Vegas to be with her grandkids, she was able to continue with 35 of her 50 students. And the adoption of Forte has been thrilling to us. We recently passed 3.6 million minutes of live instruction on the platform. And I can't wrap my head around that. And that's thrilling. But what's particularly thrilling is the usage patterns we see within that. 78% of the lessons on Forte are between a teacher and a student in different cities. 12% are between a teacher and student in different countries, and 9% are in different continents. And so what that tells, that 78% number, what that tells me is that students will stick with an online teacher they love versus someone who just happens to live in their neighborhood, and vice versa. And I think that's a really important dynamic going forward. And then when you layer in all of the other advantages of teaching online, like child safety, convenience, it's just a lot easier to access all your tools. They're all right there for you. You don't have to, you don't have to drag them around with you. It's easier to record a lesson. When you put all that together, I think people are starting to realize we can do this, and we can, the online experience isn't just like, okay, it's not as good, but it's more convenient. I think it can actually be better in meaningful ways.
Hi everyone, I wanted to take a moment to let you know about an amazing community of music teachers ready to welcome you over at Top Music Pro. Top Music Pro is the global hub for music teachers looking to connect, learn, grow, and be challenged in both their teaching and studio businesses. Community members save time by accessing hundreds of step-by-step lesson plans, creative teaching frameworks, business guides, online courses, and workshops. We offer training in topics as diverse as music technique, lead sheets, website building, intermediate repertoire, group teaching, and special needs teaching. We also save you money through our extensive discounts, including those with Music Notes, Sheet Music Plus, Music Room, Office Depot, Tonebase, and many more. And if you like sheet music, all our members get a free book of studio licensed, beautifully engraved sheet music each and every month. As a valued podcast listener, you can check out the Top Music Pro community free for 14 days by heading to topmusicpro.com, clicking Join Now on our studio tier, and using the special coupon code IMTPOD23. That's all one word. So that's IMTPOD23. We can't wait to welcome you inside. I think one of those other aspects of the percentages that you mentioned, teaching in different continents, one of the other big advantages is being able to teach in time zones where you would normally be sitting at home and not having to squish everybody into the 3 to 7 p.m. time slot. I think that's a massive one.
We've seen that with teachers in Europe teaching students in Asia in some of the pilot programs we've run. That seems to work particularly well.
And how do you think those percentages will shift over time?
It's hard to know. I don't think it's early days yet. I wouldn't want to be so bold as to predict, but I don't think in-person lessons go away. And it's not, either or. A lot of our teachers use Forte for the occasional lesson where either they or the student can't be there in person, or, the kid's got the sniffles and I don't want to be around them because I don't want to get sick, or,
it's a great option for, make the makeup lesson challenge, which all instrumental teachers have to face.
Yeah. We have a voice teacher in Fairbanks, Alaska, who she's terrific, and she teaches a lot of kids in Fairbanks and a lot of adults in Fairbanks. But what that meant was she couldn't go to the professional performing gigs she was being offered in. Once it was Paris and Washington D.C., but now she can, because she knows she doesn't have to give up her weekly income from her weekly students just because she's also performing somewhere out of state.
So, Mark, you mentioned earlier, you just dropped a line that was something like you can build a Forte studio. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's an interesting way to put it, because most video conferencing platforms that are solely that wouldn't say that. They'd say, use our software to connect with your student, kind of thing. So, what do you mean by building a Forte studio? Did I get that right? Was that the phrase you used?
I think that is the phrase I used. Yeah. It's not complicated. You come to Forte, you sign up, like I said, you fill out your profile, you tell us about yourself, you answer questions about the kinds of students you want to teach, and then your studio is there waiting for you to click into whenever you like, when those lessons start.
So do you need to do that to use the software, or could you just use the software like you might use Zoom or one of the others?
You can do both. And the idea is we want Forte to be the tool you're using all the time, not just the tool you're using when you found a new student through Forte. And so if you have your own student that you found in your community or elsewhere that you haven't sourced through our matching algorithm, that student is welcome as well.
Yeah. Okay. And so when you say sort of building a studio, that means that you can create this profile and run things through the software, not just teach your lessons. You can find the students that way as well.
Yeah. Set up your scheduling, set up your billing, all of that good stuff.
Oh, right. So all that can be organized too.
Yeah. The business side of it, the scheduling side, and the actual, the core of it, the teaching.
So this is where I imagine it gets complicated, and perhaps you haven't gone down this development path yet. But what if I have a particular billing cycle or system that I want to use, and so I could put up my lesson price for $1,000 a semester, and other teachers will go it's $50 a lesson and things like that. Do you cater for varieties in that regard?
If you have a system that you like, that you use with students that you've sourced or found that you've had previously.
I mean when you get them through Forte Studio.
And when you find them through our matching algorithm, you have to use our billing tool the way we've built it. There's no other way. We took a ton of feedback from teachers when building it. So we hope we built something that people like, and there's no way to build something that's going to be perfect for everyone. So, and we're iterating on it all the time. But if you get a student through Forte, you will have to use our billing tool and our billing system.
And I guess what I'm asking, I don't think there's any problems with that. Is there flexibility though in how you bill, or is it just you need to charge this amount per lesson?
No, you set your own prices for various lengths of lessons, and you can charge different prices to different students. You can give a discount at the end of a lesson. There's plenty of flexibility built into it, but I wouldn't want to promise that we have yet built all of the flexibility to handle all of the different kinds of permutations of fees and billing setups that teachers want. So one thing we know we need to build is the ability to give a discount if a student pays for X number of lessons up front. And we'll start building that once we see more traffic kind of coming through and we get more feedback from teachers. How should that work? Often teachers are charging in advance because they want to be, they want to be able to hold that slot in the weeks ahead. And they want to make sure that they still get paid if the student is a no-show. We handle that for teachers now because, we're taking the student's credit card, and we will enforce the no-show or late cancellation policy for you. And so, you give the lesson at the end, you say, bill for this lesson, you'll get paid from Forte, and we'll hit the student's credit card. And so there's no more worrying about, oh gosh, they canceled late. Do I really now have to call the mom and say, the policy is 24 hours and have that awkward conversation?
Mm. That's nice to have that removed from the stresses of teaching, I think.
But, to Mark's point, for anyone listening to this, the billing and scheduling too are very new. We just launched these things with the matching algorithm a few weeks ago. So if you guys have feedback or, ways that you would like to be able to use Forte's billing tool that is not possible right now, let us know. help@fortelessons.com. We need that feedback. It helps us try to build a tool that's flexible enough for everyone.
And the senior leadership team of Forte reads every email that comes to help@fortelessons.com, and a human will respond.
Fantastic. Yeah, as Hillary said, the feedback and support she's got from you guys has been second to none. So congratulations for doing that. I want to talk AI because that's a big topic at the moment, and you're a tech business, and I imagine this is something that you may feel impacts what you do and can provide teachers. Is this something that's sort of crossed your radar, Hunter? I think you're more the tech side of things, aren't you?
Yeah, it seems like every conversation turns to AI these days. No, it's not. I mean, not right now for us. There's, Forte, which is live one-on-one lessons, right? It's focused on the teacher and the student, the humans right now. It's facilitating that connection wherever they are, in a way that they can hear their instruments and hear each other speaking while each other are playing and stuff like that. But that to me is focused on kind of the more serious students and teachers who are, at that price point, one lesson per week, whatever that costs. It's much more than the AI tools that I am aware of, the musicians and the Simply Piano, Joy Tunes, Scoo, Fratello of the world, where you pay $9 a month to learn from an AI, basically. And that, to me, it's very much focused on the beginners. It's low risk, low cost, very gamified. You can get on your iPad and learn, the 3 power chords that you need to know to play 90% of pop songs. And I did it early on. It's a blast. But that's kind of where I see AI. That's where the opportunity is right now, I think, for online music learning. It's focused on the very early stage learners, which is, Forte is for everyone. If you want to come on and take a live lesson as your first time ever dipping your toes into learning an instrument, we're here for that. But we're not, kind of to what we were talking about earlier, we're not offering, gamified practice tools in between lessons. We're not trying to tell teachers how to get their students to practice by using our new Chat GPT wrapped practice tool. That's not going to be us. Down the road, there's going to be some incredible opportunity to use augmented reality, head-mounted displays, and artificial intelligence to help beginners learn quicker than they might be able to without it. Forte is not in the business of trying to replace humans with AI anytime soon.
This is where I really get on my high horse.
Oh, here we go.
Playing music is the highest expression of the human spirit. And an algorithm is never going to teach you to do that well. An algorithm can teach you to play the notes, but it can't teach you to play the music. Duolingo can help you order a sandwich in French on your, on your vacation to Paris, but it can't help you be persuasive in front of an audience speaking in French. It just doesn't get you there. And, we love any tool that lights a kid up around, a path toward a life with music. So those tools that get you excited early on, we think they're great. But at the end of the day, when you're investing in music lessons for yourself or your child, if you're not just investing in, the learner mastering mimicry or basic technical skills. There's so many other facets to learning an instrument that are transferable skills that are important. Things like poise and presence and creativity and being able to listen and incorporate feedback and self-discipline and self-confidence, your own creative voice. All of those things are the true benefits of learning to play an instrument and learning to do it well. And you're just not going to get that from an algorithm. You need a human teacher for that. And you need a human teacher who really connects with you. Beyond all of that, there are no algorithms right now that, can look at you and say your hand position is wrong, or, posture or breathing or any of these other things, skills that kind of go around the basic technical skills of the instrument. You're going to learn some bad habits if you start with those algorithm habits that you're going to have to unlearn the minute you get a human teacher. And so I think AI is great. I think AI will revolutionize a lot of different industries, but the people who will win will be the people who are creative thinkers and have developed their own creative problem solving skills and their own personal voices, because that will always stand above what a computer comes up with by, through like large language learning models.
I think you'll have a lot of our teacher listeners nodding their heads and
good,
giving a hear to that one, Mark.
We're here for all of you.
So I'm keen to know what have you got a few things on the development roadmap at the moment that are be coming out in the next little while?
So many. First and most importantly, we'll be launching piano on the Forte Connect matching algorithm, ability to find a new teacher and or student, depending on which side you're on. Then voice, then guitar, then flute, then all the instruments. That's coming first. If you're asking on kind of the video calling software, the ability, right now it's a web app, which means you're able to access it via browser, via Chrome or Safari or whatever you use, and which means it's not an app you download on the App Store, which means you can't use it on your phone. You can use the scheduling and billing and everything else from whatever browser you use on your phone, but we don't encourage having the in-lesson experience running on your phone. Obviously, with the second camera, it works really well, but
not as a primary.
That's something that's top of mind. We know that students want that. And who are we to say that they shouldn't be using their phone to take the lesson? So that's top of mind. We know mobile is important. The features I mentioned earlier, the whiteboarding feature, the metronome, the tuner, small things like that. Yeah, we got an extremely long list of things that we know are important. We've tried to prioritize it properly with what we can manage right now. We're a small team, but we'll get there.
How many developers in your team?
Oof, right now 4.
Oh, wow. Okay, yes, that is really small.
They're pretty amazing, though. There's a huge overlap between tech folks. People are really into coding, software engineering, and musicians. Back when I worked at Juilliard, we did a project with Google, and they kept saying, like, there are so many music ensembles among the employees that there's always someone making music there, and we've really noticed that's true. And the great thing about what we're doing is, when we're recruiting engineers or anyone actually for the team, it's everybody wants to be a part of this mission. Everybody wants to expand access to great music education for more and more kids around the world. Everyone wants to create a world with more music in it. And that has allowed us to be really competitive in hiring. And our engineers really are amazing. They do great, great work.
Well, I want to wrap up with, you better give everyone the bad news, which is how expensive this whole thing is for them to use, now that we've come to this part of the conversation.
Forte is free for students you bring to the platform. If we introduce you to a new student, then you tell us how much you want to get paid for the lesson, and we add a fee on top of that. And that's what the student pays. But we believe very firmly that teachers shouldn't set a price and then we take some of that. Tell us how much you want to make per lesson, and we'll find a student who will pay that plus the fee.
No marketing on the teachers. The teacher doesn't have to do the marketing then to find the student.
No, we find that we'll be like, people don't get into teaching music because they want to be marketers. Yeah. And so we want to take that off your hands. And there are other platforms out there, everybody knows, that purport to be able to give you more students. And I think a lot of teachers have had the bad experience of setting up a profile on those platforms and then just never hearing anything. And that's because all those other platforms are just out there fighting tooth and nail for every extra set of eyeballs. Someone sits down at the Google homepage and writes in, learn piano or piano lessons. And the process that then kicks in with Google AdWords and everything else that, leads you to a website where you can maybe find a teacher is brutal and competitive. We're not going down that path exclusively. We know where there are huge pools of demand for music teachers. We see it all the time. And that might be large K-12 education companies. It might be other places, but we're setting up exclusive partnerships with companies and organizations that have access to literally tens of thousands of students who are looking for music teachers. And we're bringing them to Forte in bulk. All of this will launch later this summer or winter for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. But all of that will launch, and we will much more efficiently bring a much larger number of students to Forte so that you don't have that bad experience of, I set up my profile and I heard nothing.
I think that's really important to know that the time that you're going in, because you're going to be asking more questions, it's going to be more in depth than the standard online profile might be. So it's good to know that there's going to be a much more greater likelihood of response from students. And just to confirm, the platform, the video conferencing platform, is free.
Free for your own students. If we bring you the student, we will add that fee on top of those lessons for those students.
Fantastic. So any teacher listening, if they haven't already tried Forte and they are offering some online lessons, even if it's just for makeups or sick lessons or whatever it is, go and try Forte. Give it a try. Next lesson.
And try our scheduling, try our billing. We'll make life easier for you. We promise.
It's fantastic. So where do people go to find out? Where do the violin teachers go? Is that a different place to everybody else at the moment, or is it all one spot?
ForteLessons.com.
ForteLessons.com. That's fantastic. Well, look, thank you both for coming on the show. Is there anything else I've forgotten that you're just itching to remind me to say? Itching to tell everybody.
So since your audience is mostly teachers, ForteLessons.com, and then click on teachers. The homepage is facing mostly students, parents right now, but you'll have to click on the For Teachers tab to sign up for violin.
I would only add, if you're a music teacher out there and you're helping kids find a life of music, don't stop with doing what you're doing. You make the world a better place.
Lovely way to wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's interview and will consider checking out Forte Lessons. As I know many of you are piano teachers listening, they are working on the piano launch, and probably best just keep up with their website. Join their email list if you can become a subscriber, and you'll find out all the details about when that one goes live. If you're a violin teacher, though, you can definitely go and get started straight away. So that's it for the show this week. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, and I do hope you've enjoyed it. Looking forward to catching up with you again next week. Until then, I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Integrated Music Teaching Podcast. I'll see you again soon. How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support, and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today. If you enjoy this show and want to hear more of our work, be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening today. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, visit us at topmusic.co/podcast or check out the show notes. I'm Tim Topham, and this is the Integrated Music Teaching Podcast, a production of Top Music. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your week ahead, and I'll catch you next time.